right, hello. Thank you for joining us for the Austin Asian American Film Festival's Prismatic Taiwan screening series. We hope you are enjoying the films. We especially hope that you enjoyed the film Outcasts, or the Outsiders, as it's also known. We're very honored to have here today Dr. Kelly Hsieh, who is going to speak about the film and about its director, Yu Kan-ping. First of all, Kelly, I'd just like to ask you to, can you tell us a little something about yourself before we begin talking about the film?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly. I'm from Taiwan, and I live in Brazil now. My academic area is Theater of the Oppressed, which is founded by a Brazilian director, Augusto Boal. Now, you know why I decided to move to Brazil. I'm currently the representative of GESTO in Asia. GESTO is the initial of a group of estudos en teatro do Oprimido. Or in English, you may say the scholars group of Theater of the Oppressed. What I am doing for GESTO is to promote the Theater of the Oppressed method in Asia. That's why I wrote my book on the history of Theater of the Oppressed, this one, and help out for translating the book Rainbow of the Desire by Augusto Boal, this one, and Filmo. I brought our artist. I brought an artist of Theater of the Oppressed to Taiwan for cultural exchange between Brazil and Taiwan. I'm also a columnist of Liberty Times for writing about tourism and soccer in Brazil occasionally. That's why I wrote this book, Traveling with Kelly, in the year of the Olympics in Brazil. Well, as an associate advisor of OCAC Taiwan, I try to promote the culture of Taiwan to Brazil and create a Taiwan Film Festival with Cinusp, the film department of the University of São Paulo last year. Our film festival was named the New Perspective of Taiwan. This one. We divide the festival for 3 topics, which were LGBT, the new perspective after year 2000, and Yu Kan-ping series, plus 1 special VR of Tsai Ming-liang. Actually, the end of the track and the outsider of Prismatic were also on our list last year.
All right, great. Thank you very much for telling us a little about yourself. I'd also like to ask, you mentioned that you programmed this film, Outsiders, last year. Can you tell us some more about your connection with this film, and also your connection with the director, Yu Kan-ping?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, since my academic area is in Theater of the Oppressed, but actually I got my master from Radio, Television, Film and Theater Arts department in San Jose State University. So I always love the TV and film industry, even though my research is about Theater of the Oppressed. But I took as many credits as I could by making films. So after I got back to Taiwan, I kept working not only in TV company as a scriptwriter, but also teaching introduction to film and theater arts in college. I used to invite artists to share their experience with my students, like the director Zhang Zuoji, and the ex-artistic director and Circus du Soleil, James Tanabe, and others. So when the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in São Paulo asked me to organize a film festival with Cinusp, I came up with some ideas. First of all, invite an indicative director to Brazil, which could not only catch the eyes of local media, but also make a connection with a Brazilian film director and Taiwan's director to obtain the objective of cultural exchange. Second of all, Taiwan just passed the same-sex marriage law. The office and I both felt it's a good opportunity to celebrate our progress of democracy. So the LGBT topic was for sure, as above, Director Yu he is a perfect one. He is a remarkable director in the film history of Taiwan, and he's outsider. He's an outsider. It's also the first movie talks about gay in the society. So he was my first choice to invite to Brazil.
And you've actually known Director Yu for a while before that. And not just, you didn't just meet him last year, you've known him before. Is that correct?
Yeah, right. Honestly, he's my idol. Okay, yeah. Forget all the official reasons I say. I just personally want to invite him to Brazil. No, of course, the official, of course, what I say is very important. But for me, he's as I said, he's a remarkable director. When I was a kid, he was already a very famous movie director. We can see his classical movie were always on TV, replay on TV, like Papa Can You Hear Me Sing. I don't even know how many times I saw the movie. So when I was a kid, my dream was becoming an actress or a movie director. So I was so surprised when I first met him in a conference of Taiya, of Aborigines, which my mom curated. And I just found out that, most surprisingly, he was a classmate of my uncle at Hsieh College when they were in college. And my mom told me that they three used to hang out before I was born. So at that year, I was only 16. I first met him and I feel, my idol is in front of me, and he's tall and handsome, and his films are always very touched. So even though he didn't remember our first meeting when I was in 16, but we had a wonderful conversation in Taiwan to discuss a trip to Brazil last May. And so I think thanks my mom, thanks my uncle, that I can know him more than others, and he's a very nice guy. So I'm also very thankful that he kept his promise to show up in Brazil, because he just had a big surgery in last July, and he because he's a guy who is always keep his promise. So you think he should come. So he came to our festival last year, and which was very successful. He's a nice guy, and he's very interesting. He's very funny, very interesting person. He has a good personality. All the audience love him. We went to Brasilia, the city of Brasilia, and we stay in São Paulo. All the audience we have debate, and every audience loves him, and he talked a lot of history, a lot of story about the outsider, and Papa Can You Hear Me Sing, and the story of the indigenous Taiwanese. So yeah.
And I just want to say for our audience, Papa Can You Hear Me Sing is the movie he made before Outsiders, is that correct?
Yeah, right. The Papa Can You Hear Me Sing is filmed in 1983, and The Outsider is in 1986.
Okay. One thing that's I think kind of striking about this film Outsiders is it does feature in its cast some very well-known Taiwanese actors, like people who would have been very familiar to a Taiwanese audience at this time. So like Guan Guan or Su Mingming, but also kind of one of the major roles in this film, the role of Yang, Mama Yang, as everybody calls him in the movie, is played by Sun Yue, who I know is an especially familiar, especially kind of a big star at the time. And I'm a little curious about, was there any difficulty casting this movie given the subject matter that was kind of new and maybe controversial at the time?
Yeah, actually, I think there's no difficult. It's not difficult for him to cast a list of famous actors. Yeah, because actually, Director Yu was already very famous before he shoot the outsiders. Yeah, like the Papa Can Hear Me Sing. Before the Papa Can Hear Me Sing, he already shoot lots of films. And the Papa Can Hear Me Sing is the most famous. After that, lots of actors want to play a role on his film. Yeah. So after 1983, most of the actors wanted to be a part of the film. So there was no problem for him to casting a good actor, especially Sun Yue. Sun Yue, we all Taiwanese call him Uncle Sun. He's a best friend of Direct Yu. From 1981, he started to be the protagonist for the rest of 6 movies of Direct Yu. He was always the main protagonist for Direct Yu after Papa Can Hear Me Sing. Yeah, and in 1990, after 2 painters of Direct Yu, Sun Yue announced that he is not performing anymore except for the charitable activities. Direct Yu also turned to shoot documentary with the Aborigines. According to Direct Yu, after 1990, the film industry in Taiwan was kind of liberty already. So without the censors, there's nothing for him to fight for. Moreover, he has been interested in Taiwanese Aborigines after he finished the Papa Can You Hear Me Sing. And it took like 7 years for him to complete the story of 2 painters. So he liked to do something more for Taiwanese Aborigines. However, I think part of the reason might be because of Sun Yue, because Sun Yue is always the best male protagonist in his mind. So yeah, when we saw the Papa Can You Hear Me Sing in São Paulo and the Outsider in Brasilia, he always told me how great acting Sun Yue did for each scene and for different movie. He was always the character in different movie. Yeah. So without Sun Yue, I think nobody can play his film that well. So yeah. So that's a relationship with Sun Yue and he, and I think there will be no difficult for casting for him because he is kind of as I said, remarkable director. Everyone want to play his film, his movie at that time.
Now, one area where the movie did have difficulty was in getting approval from the censors. I know censorship was still pretty strong in Taiwan in 1986, and I read that the censors actually asked for 21 recuts before they would approve the movie. So what were some of the things that had to be changed in order for this film to be released?
For someone who asked for the record, it should be the radio, TV and film department by the government. Yeah, because at that time, during that time, it had the government had the right to do anything before a film screening. I remember director Yu told us in São Paulo. He said the most important thing because it is the sex part of the lungs, because actually we can't see in the film, but the lungs father is a general. One day he saw his son and the other boy were naked in the room. He was so mad, and he asked them to separate and send along to the United States. It's very important symbol. For him, it's very important symbol, but has been cut because the general is kind of like the invaluable authority with the other one, the weak part is a gay couple. So it was indicate the classes of power and the weak in the society. He thinks this part is very important, but during that time, the government, of course, didn't allow that to show on the audience. So it has been cut. So the outsider, you can see right now. Sometimes you feel a little bit weird. the story jumped to here. That's because the 21 recuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that when they were talking about that character Long, who in English subtitles he's called Dragon. There's
Dragon.
like these kind of references to like his father is a general, but it's only telling us about these things. Like we never actually see some of these things that's talking about, and so I kind of felt that was, like you said, that was a little bit strange, and that was obviously something that got cut.
Yeah, because after a cut, the film looks a little bit odd, but actually for the footage, for this part, they have a lot of description for Dragon's family, because of that family is very typical symbol to compare with the authority and the weakness stuff. Yeah.
More recently, you mentioned that director Yu had, kind of left the film industry after 1990, but he still works on films. Lately, he's focused on working with members of the indigenous communities in Taiwan and also in Brazil. So how did he become involved in that work?
Yeah, actually, after the Two Painters, his last movie in cinema, after the Two Painters, he started to work with members of the indigenous communities in Taiwan for 37 this year is 37 years already. Yeah, he teaches the indigenous how to write a script about their story, because it's very important. He thinks it's very important to keep the story of the Indian. So he teaches them how to write a script and how to make a film. He even helped those artistic Indians to get into the international stage. I think most of you may know about the the dancer Yang and others Indian Taiwanese. They all are on stage, on the international stage, because Direct Yu, he was also the guidance of a movie called Long Time No See in 2018. This Long Time No See talks about the Indian Da'u of Taiwan. Yeah, and the director was a young director, and Director Yu helped her out for the script writing and for the editing, for lots of stuff. He kind of doing the education stuff for the Indian and for the college right now. Yeah.
All right. Can you tell us anything about what director Yu's working on right now, or any future projects that he has lined up in the near term?
Well, he's still working on the documentary of Taiwan Aborigines, but it's a huge job since he has to deal with like a 1,200 footage. He shoot it, so it's a really hard job to do that. And actually, he is moving to Taidong City, which is in the east coast of Taiwan, and there are lots of indigenous Taiwanese layer, and he already donate all his footage to the university layer, and he's going to conduct a group of students with a student of indigenous Taiwanese layer, and probably in the future the students can keep going this project to finish this documentary. And as he is the member of the Council of the Indigenous People, so when he was in Brazil last year, we visited some Brazilian aborigines and met some indigenous people in the city. Hopefully, one day we may connect like both Brazilian indigenous and Taiwanese indigenous to make a concert international.
You mentioned just now that Director Yu has worked as given guidance, has been kind of a mentor to younger filmmakers. And since we're showing a Tsai Ming-liang film in this series, I wanted to mention he has a credit as an advisor on one of Tsai Ming-liang's early TV movies, a movie called Boys, or Hsieh. And so I want to ask, what was Director Yu's relationship with Tsai Ming-liang? How did he kind of come to be an advisor to him at that stage?
Yeah, actually, Tsai Ming-liang was his assistant for some movies. I don't remember which movie. Probably is One Pi Gui. I don't know the English name because it's a very early movie in 1981. Or Papa Can You Hear Me Sing? Tsai Ming-liang was the script supervisor for the movie. Yeah, so they do have a relationship. Last year he told me about that. He said, consequently we have a Tsai Ming-liang's VR, and we also have director Zhang Zuoji's movie too, the Tornado Drunk. And he said, it's very interesting because Tsai was his script supervisor, and Zhang Zuoji was his direct assistant for People Between Two China, and the assistant director for Two Painters. Yeah, and that's why he said that he's always interesting to help the young director. And he once said that since there are more and more young directors like Tsai Ming-liang and like Zhang Zuoji, these young directors starting to concern the poor people and the weak people, and someone is not acceptable by the society. He doesn't have to do that anymore, and he can focus on the indigenous people and to do the education for them. So actually for him, the English name The Outsiders means a lot for him. The Outsiders or the Outcasts. This name in English, he said, this is very nice because this movie in Chinese is kind of like a bad song. Yeah, but in English, the outsider can be anyone, can be anyone who is not accepted by the society. Is out of the society, and that's why he always concerns to care about the people and love the weakness people in the world, to advocate the problem of the society to the audience. So he is very happy that like Tsai Ming-liang and Zhang Zuoji and other young director, like the director for the Long Time No See, to care about the Indian people, to care about the outsiders. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why he think his job is his kind of terminal in his progress, and now the next step for him. The next and which step he's still working on is education and help out the indigenous people of Taiwan. Of course, international can be for Brazil too, or can be for United States too.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for telling us more about this film and more about its director. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure our audience appreciates it as well.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here too.
All right. So I'd just like to thank our audience for joining us, and again, I hope everybody enjoys the film OUTCASTS and the rest of the AAFF's Prismatic Taiwan series.